Today on the Morning Brew, let's see what they have to say. This is actually a newsletter that gets sent in the mornings, but I work in the morning, so I can't read this until the afternoon. So let's take a look at it. Good morning. Your word of the day is bombogenesis. Definition: bombogenesis describes when a storm undergoes a sudden and significant drop in atmospheric pressure, transforming it into a bomb cyclone. Use it in a sentence later this week. A storm is expected to undergo bombogenesis and slam the northeast on Saturday with snow measuring in feet. That's scary. That's scary, right? To all the entrepreneurial kids who run a snow shoveling service for your neighborhood, now is the time to set up your QuickBooks. And this is actually pretty good. If you live in an area where there's snow, why not make some extra cash and invest it in the market, right? If you can make $100, put 20 in the market, right? Just dollar cost average, I'm starting to see is the way to go in this market. And the NASDAQ was up in the morning. The S&P is down a little bit. The Dow is down. The 10-year is up. Bitcoin is falling to 36K. Microsoft is up. And I'm an Xbox user. I love Microsoft, right? They have the Xbox console. Markets. Stocks were chillingly, solidly in the green until Fed Chair Jerome Powell tapped the mic and explained that the Fed was planning to start hiking interest rates in March to combat soaring inflation. Then they tanked and the treasury yields rose sharply higher. Microsoft still had a solid day, and after its superb earnings report offered bullish signs for the entire software industry. Interesting. And I was actually watching the markets before Jerome spoke, and they were going up. People were excited, but it was funny. As soon as he opened his mouth, everything went downhill. And if you're a momentum player, if you know how to use this in your advantage, that's so cool. I'm not a trader. I suck at trading. I just like reading the news. I like to trade here and there. I don't take big risk. But it's interesting to see the way the market psychology works, right? And I guess after you've been doing this for so long, you start to see how it works and you play that momentum, I'm a noob, so for me, I have no idea how to make this work in my favor, right? So let's see. The Fed prepares for March Madness, you guys. This is kind of scary because we're barely at the end of January. So we have all February and we still have March of craziness. And this is one of the reasons why I'm actually considering just selling out of everything and just coming back next, March, April, May, whenever the market gets better, right? So let's see what's up. Come springtime, when we won't have to worry about bombogenesis or cracked skin, the Federal Reserve is planning to raise interest rates, the central bank announced yesterday. In the Fed's words, with inflation well above 2% and a strong labor market, the committee expects it will soon be appropriate to raise the target range for the federal fund rate. This time in English. This is why I love the Morning Brew, because sometimes it feels like they're just casually talking to you. Like right now, the way I read it, it almost seemed like you could speak to yourself. I don't know if that makes sense, but we're probably going to hike interest rates after our next meeting in March. And I firmly think that this is where we're going, you guys. Inflation is just out of control. It'll go down in the history books. It would mark the first time the Fed has raised borrowing costs since 2018 and serves as a powerful symbol of the economy's recovery from the depths of the COVID recession when the Fed lowered interest rates to near zero. Of course, the Fed wasn't always going to raise interest rates this March, but sky-high inflation changed the calculus. President Biden, Fed officials, and Chicago-based option traders have all become increasingly concerned over rising prices, which forced the Fed to course correct in December and plan for a series of rate hikes this year. And, rates are going up, you guys. I think it was a miracle that they were 0% to begin with. Who lends money out at 0% interest? That's ridiculous. The View from Wall Street. Worries over rising interest rates have pulverized the stock market this year, and tech stocks in particular, which became less attractive when bond yields go higher, as they have been. The S&P is down 9.31% year to date, putting it on track for its worst start to a year ever. The tech-focused NASDAQ has slid into correction territory, nearly down 15% year to date. But rising interest rates don't always spell doom for the stock market. Quite the opposite. In fact, the S&P 500 has delivered positive returns in 11 of the 12 Fed rate hike cycles since the 1950s, according to Trustco Chief Investor Officer Keith Lerner. And I mean, I don't think we should be looking at the past because we live in such a different world today. What happened was just different than what happened in the past. I don't know if I really trust this, right? 11 out of 12 sounds like good odds, but I don't know, you guys. The market right now is scary. Why? Because the Fed tends to raise interest rates when the economy is growing, and a growing economy tends to be good news for corporate earnings. Looking ahead, the question now becomes, how many times will the Fed hike rates this year? Goldman Sachs is predicting 4, but Powell didn't rule out a hike at every one of the Fed's 7 remaining meetings this year to tame inflation levels that he said have gotten just a bit worse. Whoa. It's kind of scary. Imagine they hike at every one of the Fed's 7 remaining meetings. Wow. The market is going to crash hard if they did something like that, right? For more reading on the Fed, we interviewed Christopher Leonard, the author of The Lord of Easy Money, a new book that argues the central bank has been a driving force of inequality over the past few decades. Supreme Court Justice Breyer today. All right, I'm gonna head out and look at this SpongeBob meme, guys. This is why you gotta love the Morning Brew, because I feel like it's for the younger generation, right? Because they love memes, right? And this is how you get to us. You gotta use memes to get to us. So the Supreme Court Justice Steve Breyer is 83 and is reported planning on stepping down after 20 years. Supreme Court Justice Steve Breyer, 83, is reportedly planning to step down after 28 years of helping to make the country's biggest decision. Liberals promptly RSVP to the retirement party and said they bring cake. Many progressives urge Justice Breyer to step down so that President Biden, a Democrat, could fill his spot with someone who's sympathetic to their cause. Right-leaning Supreme Court Justice currently outnumbers left-leaning ones by 6-3. Stephen Hu, don't feel too bad if you've never heard of him. Only 2% of likely voters in a C-SPAN poll from 2018 could identify Breyer as a Supreme Court justice. He was appointed in 1994 by former President Bill Clinton and typically voted along moderate to liberal lines. Breyer has opposed a number of civil rights cases, wrote the 2015 dissent that opposed the death penalty, and never uses footnotes in his opinions. Wow, this guy's been in there for a long time. Imagine since Bill Clinton, 1994. That was around the year I was born. That's crazy. That's why in our country we don't see any real change. This is why the younger generation, we just don't care about voting and politics, because like we have people like that guy, 83, still in power, making decisions for like a generation that is now retired, right? But whatever. Looking ahead, Biden has a big decision to make ahead of court's next busy term that will be in October, which includes cases on affirmative action, abortion, and gun rights. Progressives are already reminding him of his campaign promise to appoint a black woman. Who will Biden choose? Some potential names include Judge Keaton Brown Jackson of the U.S. Court of Appeals for the District of Columbia Circuit and California Supreme Court Justice Leandra Kruger, right? A black woman. We need a black woman in there. Why not? We need minorities. Minorities need to be in positions of power, right? We have too many white people there who just are not representing certain demographics, right? This year, the Tesla is sticking to what it knows. And we're still loading the Cybertruck. That thing is so crazy, you guys. Like, it looks cool, but it looks a little funky at the same time. In its earnings report yesterday, Tesla closed the books on a 2021 we can only describe as like the stock market going up with just the emoji. It posted a record quarterly profit and its first back-to-back profitable year since it was founded in 2003. Tesla's $2.3 billion net profit last quarter jumped 760% from quarter 4 in 2020. Tesla also delivered a record number of vehicles last year despite ongoing supply chain bottlenecks, its main limiting factor, the company said. So, what's on tap for 2022? New factories. Factories in Austin, Texas started pumping out Model Ys last year, while in Berlin, Germany, Doppelganger is waiting in final permits before revving up. Analysts say the two factories could double the company's overall production. But no new car models. Production of the Cybertruck and Roadster have been delayed until hopefully 2023. In regards to the low-cost EV, many people have been hyped up for. Musk said, "We are not currently working on the $25,000 car. What's up? We have had enough on our plate right now." Zoom out. While Tesla isn't introducing any new models this year, other automakers are picking up the slack. 30 new EV models will be introduced to the US market this year, more than 2 times the amount that's currently available. Wow, Tesla has a lot of competition, you know. So what is this? This is an ad. And let's get on to the pop culture stuff, because this is also what I like about the Morning Brew, that they do talk about stuff that's relevant to pop culture, right? So let's see what it says right here about Spotify. Spotify said it removed more than 200,000 podcast episodes related to COVID-19 since the start of the pandemic. But Neil Young isn't satisfied. The music legend's catalog is officially being pulled from the platform after Young wrote a letter telling Spotify that if it didn't stop spreading false information about vaccines by providing a megaphone for the likes of Joe Rogan, he doesn't want to be part of it. You're progressive in one way, and you're still making the blank backward story about 7 dwarves living in a cave together. The actor Peter Dinklage, best known for his role as Tyrion Lannister in Game of Thrones, bashed Disney for its upcoming live-action remake of Snow White and the 7 Dwarfs on Mark Maroon's podcast. Disney responded that in order to avoid reinforcing stereotypes from the original animated film, it's taking a different approach with those 7 characters and has been consulting with the dwarfism community. The resources you need to achieve 2022. So this top part about the podcast, you guys, so much information about COVID has been spread that I don't even know what to believe anymore. And I kind of like this, you know. This new remake of Snow White and the 7 Dwarfs should be interesting. I know I'm going to watch it. I'm a big Disney person, and it's kind of interesting the way Disney is now consulting with this. I've never even heard of the dwarfism community. So it's interesting, right? It's interesting. So what is this? Don't forget to play your prescription, honey. That's not a typo. Akili Interactive, the maker of prescription video games, announced plans to go public by merging with a SPAC run by billionaire investor Chamath Palihapitiya. It values Akili at $1 billion. And you guys be careful with this guy. Be careful with SPACs in general. Like, they've gone down the toilet. I don't think anybody wants to know anything about SPACs or Chamath right now. This guy, especially after him selling out of all the SPACs that he created, like, I don't know how I feel about this. Akali's video game Endower RX became the first video game to be approved as a medical treatment when it was first greenlit by the FDA to treat ADHD in 2020. The game hasn't been commercialized yet, but more than 1,000 doctors have already prescribed it. Next up, the company is working on tech to treat autism spectrum disorder, depression, multiple sclerosis, and other cognitive issues. While the FDA hasn't approved any other video game as medical devices, it has rubber-stamped 2 virtual reality-based therapeutics that treat conditions like lazy eye and chronic pain, according to The Verge. Zoom out. Chamath brings some baggage to Akili's SPAC party. On his podcast last week, he said that nobody cares about the Chinese government's genocide of its Uyghur minority, an issue that's top of mind for many in the Beijing Olympics starting next Friday. His Twitter announcement of the Akili deal is flooded with comments saying the news is below my line. And I don't know, video games to treat disorders? I mean, it's pretty interesting, but again, just be careful, you know. It's crazy with SPACs right now. And what else is brewing? Amy Snyder's epic run on Jeopardy came to an end last night after racking up 40 wins, the longest streak in the show's history, and nearly $1.4 million in prize money. Wow, that's crazy. President Biden hosted top U.S. executives at the White House to talk about the economic benefits of his failed Build Back Better plan. Damn, we're still talking about this? Biden, the stock market is falling. The stock market is falling, and we got Russia fighting. Like, whatever. UBS acquired the robo-advisor Wealthfront for $1.4 billion. Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson said he's doing a movie that will bring one of the biggest, most badass games to the screen. One that I've played for years. The Sims? That's crazy. I mean, I really hope it's Gears of War. But anyway, you guys, this is me reading the Morning Brew. I'm not the best reader, you guys. It's not easy to read this and record yourself. And I'm not really a good reader to begin with. You know, it's not easy to read out loud. But, you know, this is me. And if you enjoy me reading this content, you know, I usually like to read these newsletters, but it's kind of lonely to do it on your own. And then it's more fun to talk about it, right? So I like to do this. I might be doing more videos about this. It's something new I'm trying. If you like this, hit the like button. If you want to see me read more news, subscribe. I'm not a trader. I'm not a pro or anything. I'm just a mysterious investor.